I thought, I can see the way the wind is blowing. I don't want to be left behind. I want to be a pop star. And I've also actually started occasionally having a bit of luck with the ladies. So let's combine all of these things into one raging ball of pop hormones.
Welcome to the XS Noize Podcast, the chart-topping music interview show. I'm your host, Mark Millar, and today I'm joined by Neil Hannon from The Divine Comedy. If you missed our last episode with Tom Smith from Editors, be sure to check it out. And don't forget to follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Neil returns this month with Rainy Sunday Afternoon, the 13th Divine Comedy album, and one of his most personal and musically rich records yet, recorded at Abbey Road. It's a lush orchestral collection, exploring love, loss, memory, satire, and the passing of time. From the emotional weight of the last time I saw the old man, to the dark humour of Mar-a-Lago by the sea, this album draws from every corner of Neil's songwriting world. In this conversation, Neil shares the stories behind the songs, the mix of grief and humour, his work on the Wonka soundtrack, and why songwriting still feels like emotional alchemy, even after 13 albums. So let's get into it. This is Neil Hannon on the XS Noize Podcast. So hi Neil, welcome back to the XS Noize Podcast.
Thank you very much, Mark. Nice to be with you again.
You're going to be releasing your new album soon, Rainy Sunday Afternoon. What made this one feel so different or special as you were creating it?
I think it's all about what people which side of the Divine Comedy people prefer. And every album is kind of a different side of a very weird coin. So this album is just a bit more of it's that kind of melancholic, lush, orchestral, more sort of organic sound. You know, when you set it against the bizarre office politics 5 years ago, it's a very different beast, that's for sure.
Well, you recorded some at Abbey Road, a place steeped in music history. Did being in that space influence your mindset or the creative choices you made?
Well, yeah. I mean, basically what happened was that we were recording bits for Wonka in Abbey Road Studio 3, and with Tom Bailey was engineering. And I was sitting there thinking, this sounds so good. And, why can't I ever get my records to sound like this? And then I thought, it's probably because I'm not in Studio 3 with Tom Bailey. I'm usually in a much cheaper place. So, yeah, I pushed the boat out. And because I thought I wanted to do it like this in such a good studio with all their fabulous old equipment and old mics, I thought I needed the sort of album that would suit that. And I've been writing lots of different styles of songs, as usual. There was lots of up-tempo ones, silly ones, funny ones, and then, or wildly experimental ones. But I was also writing quite sort of thoughtful, as I say, lush orchestral ones. And I thought, well, let's just go down that road while I'm sort of in this frame of mind. And that's what the album sort of became. It sort of, you tend to just sort of corral different styles of songs into different albums. You're writing lots of different ones all the time, but it's just about what you choose to put on a record that makes it what it is.
Before we dive into the album's themes, let's talk about some of the emotional world you were exploring. You've said that the album was a way to work through some stuff, mortality, memories, upheaval, and there's a quiet anger running through it too. Did that emotional terrain feel therapeutic to explore, or did it emerge more unconsciously as you wrote?
Usually, being repressed Northern Irishman, I am terribly, terribly middle class. I just find it very hard to be in touch with my emotions. Always have. Uh, in a way, songs were the way I was able to sort of channel emotional stuff. But usually I hid it behind several layers of irony, and like different disguises, different personalities. But with this, I suppose it's a little bit more what you see is what you get. I guess I just couldn't find any suitable sort of ways of disguising various themes, really. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Well, you've always used satire and elegance to comment on British culture. In a post-Brexit, post-truth world, do you feel your role as a songwriter has changed?
I've always tried very much to keep my songwriting to what I want to do, not what anybody else needs or wants. um, a lot of people might go, that's so selfish. And why don't you want to please the public? But the truth is, the only way I've ever been able to please anybody is by doing exactly what I want. It's only when I really do what I want that anybody seems to kind of like it. um, Although it usually is a different section of people. It's weird. I seem to have like a Venn diagram of different sort of people who want different things from me. So, some people were like, what the hell is this when they listen to Office Politics? And I'm sure there will be a different uh, subsection of them who will think the same about this record. But I just, I, you know, I try to work on, not the songs that I ought to write, but the songs that I want to write. It's like I hadn't really written a lot about politics over the years, and then I did the Complete Banker on Bang Goes the Knighthood and that sort of came out of the banking crisis and just being so angry with these rich dudes who seem to have unmerited power over ordinary people. And so on this album, I watched my dad die of a horrible thing and I had to write a song about it and I didn't know how. So I just said what I saw, and let the music kind of do the rest of the work. Yeah. Sort of just brutal observation. So yeah, for some reason I had to write that song and I don't question why. Just do it, really.
Yeah, that was the last time I saw the old man. Did writing that song feel cathartic, or was it difficult to revisit those memories?
When you're writing a song, I'm not aware of feeling anything. It's an odd thing to say, but I guess because you're so sort of in a kind of a technical, like how to write a song frame of mind, and you kind of do the thing. It's very sort of straightforward and, as I say, technical in a way. And it's only when you stand back from it and you listen to it and you go, oh, yeah, that sort of does the job. And if it didn't do the job, I'd throw it away and do another one. you know?
You joked that making orchestral pop albums should be available on the NHS. Was this album your own prescription for the chaos of the last few years?
Well, it's my prescription to myself. I don't know if it'll help anybody else. I mean, I'm absolutely fine with people listening to this record on face value and thinking, oh, this is a very nice sounding record. I can listen to this while I'm making dinner. You know, that's fine. But if you want to go deeper and, think about what's going on inside them, then by all means. And if that's helpful to anyone, I'm delighted, Yeah, largely, it's like the joke is really that this is my way of kind of self therapy,
Hmm.
self psychoanalysis. I've always thought it would be a complete waste of money for me to go to what do you call them again? Uh,
Psychiatrist?
Well, a psychiatrist, yeah, because I kind of investigate my own thoughts about things all the time, as I do my job. And I think that's pretty much all that they do is kind of try and get you to think about what you're thinking,
True.
what's going on in there. Yeah.
Let's get into some more of the songs themselves. There's so much storytelling and emotion in each track. For example, Achilles, it's a striking opener. What was it about the Patrick Shaw Stewart's World War One poem that made you want to set it to music?
Yeah, I kind of I didn't know his work at all, and I think that's pretty much his only sort of famous poem. I think it was the centenary of the beginning of the First World War, 2014, and there was a piece in the Guardian about it, about that poem, and I was completely intrigued by the fact that he was like going to Gallipoli and the Dardanelles to fight there, and he was sort of, as a lot of people from his sort of upbringing and schooling sort of viewed it all in terms of the classics and the Trojan War. And so he sort of was looking at about talking about his experience in relation to that of the ancients. And I thought, well, that would be interesting if I looked at my own experience in relation to this poet who was in turn talking about the ancients, just to kind of have that sort of three level, just to talk about the passing of time, really, and mortality. I don't know if it really does it. I never went to university. I'm
Did you
not
not?
that clever. So I just think about what I want to think about, and if it's useful, if it does the job, then that's good, I suppose.
Yeah, you've mentioned feeling lucky, you've grown up in a relatively peaceful time. Was Achilles partly your way, maybe, of acknowledging that and reminding others that not to take it for granted?
Um, yeah, well, of course, it wasn't particularly peaceful in the province at the time,
Mm.
but you know, we, I guess, the majority of people weren't really sort of firsthand, experiencing the troubles. You'd hear the odd bomb, but that's about it. Yes, I suppose what I was saying was I was lucky to live in a time when I wasn't being pulled up to the front. But then that depends on an accident of birth, accident of what year it is, where you live. If you were in Ukraine, you would be at the front. So it's an odd thing, isn't it? I am very much a pacifist, as I think all right-minded people are. But then there are times when there is absolutely no getting away from it. That great powers of evil have to be kind of fronted up to.
Your recent remasters and Charmed Life compilation brought new attention to your back catalogue. Did revisiting that older work affect how you approached Rainy Sunday Afternoon?
Gosh, that's a good question. I'm not really sure. I know. I just, I mean, I would have been writing all the way through. We were talking about Achilles, and that was like 10 years it took to get on an album. So songs just accumulate and then they kind of coalesce into certain groups of songs. And, I decided to do this one. But, doing the 30th anniversary stuff was fascinating. I always have a very sort of sick feeling when I have to revisit my old work. um, it's not really that I dislike any of it or that I'm unhappy with a lot of it. I just get queasy when I listen to a younger me. It's too real. And also when I sort of listen to like the early stuff and the hits, uh, and I think, oh my God, well done, pat on back. Because I really don't know if I could do that now. You have to be so young and egotistical and narrow blinkered kind of perspective. And like, I know what to do and I'm going to do it right now and nothing will stop me. That's the only way to make pop records and hit pop records. And I know too much now. I'm too aware of what might have been and how none of it might have worked. So I don't have the goal to make those records anymore. um, yeah, it's funny.
You mentioned Achilles there. You've been sitting on it for years. Why did it take so long to bring it out?
Well, we tried to record that song a couple of times, but I just hadn't liked it. It just didn't seem to sort of reach its destiny, as an arrangement, as a recording. And also, it wouldn't have really fitted very well on the two previous albums. This one, it seemed sort of tailor-made, especially with the new arrangement I did. And I kind of chopped it about a bit, lost a verse. Yeah, so in a smaller way, although it seemed as long at the time, National Express, I wrote that while writing everything for Casanova. And then I hadn't finished it, but I knew it was a hit record if I got it right. So then the next album came out, short album about love, and I was like, no, it's not going to work on that one. And so it kind of held over for 3 albums until it found the right one. And I'm sure that it actually benefited the song because I kind of really knew how to do it by then. Yeah.
It must be exciting knowing you have those songs, sort of waiting in the wings to be released at some stage.
Well, it would have been back then with a pop record. I think now it's nice to know you have quality material hanging around, but I don't sort of have anything going, I'm going to be a hit, because I'm not sure. There's so many reasons why I'm not going to have a chart hit anymore. you know, Apart from the fact that I'm far too old and there's lots of young people who need the space in the charts. Also, the whole way in which charts happen and pop happens and radio, it's just beyond me. It's a completely different world to when I was starting in the 90s. And I don't know how to do it.
I know it's completely different now, even for listeners.
I'm not sure it's good. But anyway, that's another story, another question.
Yeah. The title track of the album captures a very personal lockdown quarrel that resolves tenderly. How did it feel to turn such an intimate moment into a song?
I don't care. It's like, Kathy listened to it and went, oi, that's not going to make me look great. And I said, no, it's me. I admit, at the end that it was my fault. It's like, okay. Like, as if she never used personal things for her songs, I think when it's a universal occurrence, everybody has fights with their significant others. And when I say fight, it's not as if we were throwing punches or anything. It was just like a, a truly felt difference of opinion. And no, I can't remember what on earth it was about, so it's neither here nor there. But I wanted to kind of get at that sort of stirred up emotional feeling straight after a contretemps, and also you go away to hide, or you sit in the bathroom on the loo, and you kind of just go, oh God, oh, and like everything suddenly is wrong. It's like my life is terrible, and the world is a fucked up place. And so the song is kind of about that much more than it is to do with personal relationships. In a way, it's kind of that glum, everything is wrong feeling, and sort of, yeah, it's very much a lockdown song because I had no outlet at the time as well, and with I was kind of alluding to the fact that all these idiotic men on the world stage being macho, and then maybe if I can just admit that it was my fault for this fight, and admit, why can't they admit that they're wrong sometimes, and just say, actually, maybe it's not a good idea to do that.
The man who turned into a chair. It started as a remark from your wife. How often do these passing comments evolve into full songs for you?
Like always. I mean, always and never. I don't know. I don't even know if it was her that said that or whether I was making that up, but it's certainly something that I would have said about myself, you know? I guess I just found one day, hang on, do you ever like stand up and move? You're just always sitting. And that's kind of what brought it to mind. And I just wrote The Man Who Turned Into a Chair because I thought that was a good title and forgot about it and then came back to it when I had a tune that I thought, well, that might work. And kind of as you write stuff, you start to think about the sort of conversation within the song. That, you know, the verses seem to be me at various stages of life, and the choruses are like this almost this Greek chorus, kind of tragically relating the sad story of me turning into a chair. It's one of my more esoteric numbers.
When you get those song title ideas or melody ideas, where do you record them?
In my front room, you know, my little studio. I've got a barn that I want to turn into a studio, but I can never get round to it. And there's always something that needs the money first. But maybe this time, yeah, get that barn made into a studio just in time for me to sort of, for nobody to care about my music anymore. And it'll just be one of those sad places for like, that people hang their gold discs in and their fancy guitars and like the most wonderful recording equipment, but you can't think of anything anymore to record on. There's a song in there.
Yeah.
What a tragedy.
Yeah, definitely a song there.
Yeah.
All the Pretty Lights. It's about childhood trips and features your daughter on vocals. What was her reaction to being part of the song?
I'd virtually finished it. I was just doing a few more vocals in Dublin. And I went, actually, because it's about that sort of intergenerational letting go thing, I'll just get Willow to sing on it. And so I just, WhatsApped her, come and sing on my record. She went, okay. I don't think we ever discussed what the song was even about. I just told her to sing bits. And yeah, but she's busy with her own musicking now. Yeah.
Down the Rabbit Hole and Mar-a-Lago by the Sea feel like modern fables. Did working on Wonka influence the storytelling approach in these songs?
No, I think it's just what I do. It's funny, over the years, a lot people always went, oh my God, you should write musicals. You've got so many sort of characters and stories and things. But I've always found that my songs, they're kind of self-contained. And so I had to completely change my brain to write for actual theater and musicals and things. Because it's never like telling a story. It's always isolating one part of a story, like what's going on in the plot or what's going on in somebody's head, and bringing that out in the song. So it's just a completely different kind of technique to what I usually do, where I'm trying to say it all in the space of 4 minutes, you know. Rabbit Hole and Mar-a-Lago, yeah, that's where the album gets a bit odd and a bit kind of outward looking at the degradation of society. you know, due to basically one thing, the internet. It is the root of all evil. It's not money anymore. It's the internet.
But was it liberating to lean into that dystopian satire, both musically and lyrically, for them songs?
Well, it's liberating in Rabbit Hole because I get to go on in the chorus. Yeah. It's fun song to play. Mar-a-Lago, I had this kind of quite sickly tune, and I thought, well, that's sort of quite cabaret, quite sort of, resort hotel vibe. And then I had Mar-a-Lago by the Sea written in my notebook, and I've sort of put the two together. Oh, this is perfect. I've never been much of a shopper. I didn't buy lots of fancy things or, you know, which, um, but, I've had a few quid to rub together the last few years because of various successful Hollywood movies. And I thought, I'm going to buy myself a Roland CS80. No, sorry, not CS80. Uh, CR78. So a CompuRhythm 78. So it's basically the first programmable drum machine from 1978. And you will know it from Blondie and Roxy Music records and Enola Gay orchestral maneuvers, stuff like that. And I bought one and it was like, this is so cool. I need to get this on the record somehow, even though this record does not scream drum machine, you know. But Mar-a-Lago, it was perfect. It was just right. So that's part of the reason it got on the album at all, really, is that drum machine. I loved it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great track. And going back to Wonka again, it was such a success. It was, one of 2024's biggest films. How do you approach, doing the music for Wonka compared to a Divine Comedy record? It must be a completely different headspace. As you say, you're trying to tell the story in 3 minutes or whatever, whereas Wonka, it's completely different.
The real difference, if I'm honest, is the hierarchy. With the Divine Comedy is me, It's like, it's my baby, it's just my vehicle. So if I wasn't in complete control of every facet of it, there would be something really wrong. With something like Wonka, it's like the whole thing is reversed. I am suddenly on like the lowest rung of the creative, and you have to accept that you're just trying to fulfill, the criteria. You're trying to do the job for other people, and if they say it's right, then it's right, and not until then. So I was mentally prepared to do songs 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 different songs just to fill one piece of the puzzle. And it certainly motivates me to do more Divine Comedy albums, because I'm always saying to myself, oh God, I can't wait to do my own album and I can just do whatever the hell I want and people can't tell me what to do.
Yeah,
And yet,
it must have been frustrating getting notes all the time.
well, it would be if you didn't kind of just try and get into that zone and you just you become a people pleaser. Because I love big family musicals, mostly the ones made before 1970. And I was delighted to get the job, and I thought I did a really good job. So all in all, everybody's a winner.
Would you be keen to do more musicals?
Well, I'd done 1 or 2 theater musical things before then, and I will continue to do things if they're good ideas. As much as it's nice to not be poor, it's much worse for your mental health to do things that you're not suited for or you don't really rate. It's just not worth it, I could have done countless very kind of straight ahead, poppy, superficial things over the years, but I've just said no to virtually everything because I only want to do the things that I think will be good and I will be good at.
You're heading out on tour in October to support the album. What kind of show can fans expect? Lush and orchestral or something more raw and intimate?
I don't know. I have to come up with the list of songs that we'll actually be doing, and then we'll have to work on arrangements. And I'd say it'll be a more kind of angled towards the sound of the new album, but there will be songs from other areas that we will do because we'd be lynched if we didn't do them.
Yeah.
I don't want to sort of frighten people as much as like enthuse them. With the Divine Comedy, I think you always get an entertaining and satisfying evening. How it kind of takes place, I really can't tell you yet. I don't know.
Just a few more sort of quick fire questions here, Neil. If you don't mind, I'll name a Divine Comedy album and you tell me the first memory, feeling, or moment that comes to mind.
Okay.
Hope you don't feel sick thinking back. I'll have to start off with fanfare for the Comic Muse.
I feel sick. Fanfare for the Comic Muse was before I knew what the hell I was doing. And really, I just wanted to be in REM and, or a few other kind of indie schmindy acts of the late 80s. I have a feeling that Galaxy 500 had quite a large impact on that record. I was probably listening to that album a month before we went into the little studio that we did it in. But, it's not good. Because it's simply, I don't like to sort of talk or think about it too much because I don't think I had got to grips with what I wanted to do or how to write songs. And I think it was really 1992, 93 before I had any clue. And, you know, I can stand over, I can stand by any albums after then, you know, but that one, that's the before times.
But every artist has one of those, don't they? At some stage.
I hope so. Yeah.
Let's go to 1996, Casanova.
It's like, what's left to be said about this? It's like, I'd done the two earlier proper albums, Liberation, Promenade, and we'd had a little sort of smattering of interest. But then I thought, I can see the way the wind is blowing. I don't want to be left behind. I want to be a pop star. And I've also actually started occasionally having a bit of luck with the ladies. So let's combine all of these things into one raging ball of pop hormones. It took a long time and it was a lot of hard work. So I feel I deserve everything I got from it.
98, Fin de Chal.
It's an odd one. It was kind of hard because Casanova had been big and then Short Album came very hot on its heels because I wanted to get something out as quickly as possible and not let people forget who I was. And then we had a bit of hiatus. I mean, to me now, it seems like about 3 months, but at the time, it seemed like an eternity. It's like a year before we go in the studio again. It's outrageous. But when we did, it's like I just wanted to like do Casanova, but double in terms of like the amount of stuff going into it, the amount of ideas, the intensity of the thoughts and sounds. And I listen to it now, it's pretty bloody mental. It's like there's some good songs, but I feel like it just suffers a bit from like love me, love me, love me kind of thing, you know. But hey, it had my biggest hit on it, and that will continue to be my biggest hit until the day I die. So I'm happy.
Yeah, National Express. What a song.
It's a funny old thing, but I like it. I have a soft spot for it.
Even the video was great.
I think I've seen it a couple of times in my life. That's all I need. Yeah.
After that album, there was a bit of a break until 2001, and then you brought out Regeneration with Nigel Godrich.
Mm. If anything, that was weirder. I just got married. House was being renovated, so I couldn't use a studio. I was like writing everything on an acoustic guitar in the back garden in Muswell Hill. And we just signed to Parlophone, ostensibly because they had Radiohead. and I wanted to be as big as Radiohead. Um, I mean, I say these things in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way because these are always the sort of superficial, the things at the top of your mind, whereas everything that's on the albums is everything else. It's the interesting stuff that has nothing to do with ego or fame or success. It's like most of what you do when you're making a record has nothing to do with any of the sort of superficial things. But, there is a part of you that is desperate to be even more successful and to prove that you're not a flash in the pan. And so they said, who do you want to produce? And I went, oh, I can have a producer now, can I? How fancy. I went, I'll have Nigel Godrich because he's the most famous producer in the world at the time. And they went, okay. And he wanted to do it. I was like, okay, that's cool. Then I don't know, I just sort of lost a bit of courage. I started to look down from my lofty position and felt nervous about everything for the first time. And there's a bit of sort of paranoia has worked its way into the music on that one. In a way, it's just like a snapshot in history of the band, and it's worthy because of that. I didn't do it again afterwards. I thought I needed to go back to my roots. Are you going to ask about Absent Friends now?
Well, now that you mention it,
Well, I can just say, fired band. It wasn't their fault. I needed to go back to the source, which for me was basically Scott Walker and all 60s orchestral pop music. And that's what Absent Friends is about. Yeah.
yeah, great. You have Come Home Billy Bird, tracks like that, amazing.
Although that's not exactly, it doesn't sum up the album very well. It's a kind of, it sticks out a bit.
Yeah,
The rest of the album is sort of different. Yeah.
If you had to pick 5 Divine Comedy songs that sum up your best songwriting to introduce someone who's never heard the band before, what would they be?
Oh, you're just making me want to be contrary. So,
Okay, well, what
I'd
5
listen to-
songs have to be in your set?
Okay, well, that's easier. Yeah. A Lady of a Certain Age, National Express, Tonight We Fly, Our Mutual Friend, and maybe Songs of Love. Something
Yes.
for the Weekend, maybe, but I think I can leave that out without being lynched.
About that.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
I would be very disappointed if I went to see and you didn't play it.
All right, noted. The problem is writing a set list these days. You sort of do like, well, I have to have that. Oh, I've got to do that, and suddenly you've got 50 songs. It's like, if you're trying to do like a 2-hour set, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're never going to please everybody.
No. Least of all myself.
Is there a song or album from another band or another artist when you hear it, it brings back the best memories for you?
Oh. It's probably the song Reuben by Kathy Davey. I don't know if you've heard of her. Songstress from the 2010s. I married her.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Why?
Well, because, that was her recent hit when we started going out. And I was like, that makes me happy when I think about that. Yeah.
Is there an album at all when you listen to it? Brings back memories?
It's funny because I sort of think about albums I like, but none of them really bring back particularly wonderful memories. I would point to maybe Nowhere Ride. That was 1990, I think.
Yes.
And it was just around the time that I was so excited with what I was writing around that time. And I so loved Ride. And that album came out. It was a very sort of that moment. But it was also the moment at which point, I probably never was as excited about any band again after that, because I was just too involved in my own work, really. And I think, yeah, making your own records sort of rather takes you away from that sort of mindset when you're sort of so in love and obsessed with other bands. Mm. The only other band after that that I got truly obsessed with was Radiohead, weirdly, because I was just fixated with OK Computer.
If you could relive one musical moment from your journey so far, what would it be?
I would relive um, our work on the Tom Jones album, Reload.
Good album.
Just partly because I'd love to do it with an older me, kind of, and I know so much more about, you know, his music and music of that era now than I did then. I was a bit of a bluffer back then, and also the internet didn't exist, so I didn't hear an awful lot of that music. Bloody internet. So I think I was a bit of a weirdo, but not that I'm particularly normal now. But, and I'd like to make a better impression. Also, I could relive Manchester United winning the Champions League, which happened at exactly that moment in that studio. I watched it in that studio and ran around screaming for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, that was a long, long, long time ago.
Happy days. Long gone. Yeah.
I'll not show you my scarf that I've got sitting over there, and it's not Man United.
I can guess. I can almost guess. It's not the Scousers. It's not.
It is indeed.
There you go. Nailed it.
Well, you know yourself. If you're from the north, it's either
Exactly.
Man
It's one or
United
the other. That's right.
or you get the odd Leeds supporter.
Weirdly, yes.
Yeah.
I bet lots of the youth are like Chelsea and Arsenal as well now, but we don't talk about them.
City as well. There's yeah. Finally, Neil.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
You're DJing the apocalypse. What's the very last track you spin?
Okay, I know what it is. It's The Carnival Is Over by The Seekers. It'd be such a good song to end humanity with. And the carnival is over. We will never meet again. It'd be brilliant. It'd be just sort of echoing on sort of crappy tannoy speakers across a post-apocalyptic landscape.
Yeah, you should do that now. You have to do that. You have to cover that.
I will.
I can't wait to hear it. Neil, that's me done. Hopefully it wasn't too bad.
No, it was fun. All right.
Thanks, okay, Neil, thank you very much. Take it easy. Good luck with the album. Hopefully see you in Belfast. Yeah.
Absolutely. Will do.
Take it easy.
And you.
Bye.